Good morning, folks. How you doing today? Happy Memorial Day. We have the one, the only, the legendary Rylas Dana with us this morning. How you doing, sir?
Hi, doing great. Glad to be here.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. My experts are coming through on a national holiday for folks. So, Rylas, thank you for doing that.
Yeah, that speaks to the crowd here, huh? We don't you go every day for us on the daily news, so
There you go, man. I appreciate it. Well, I thought what we would do today is we would take advantage of your unique position as one of my experts. And as an estate attorney, someone who has decades experience, family experience looking at wealth, I wanted to talk about five things that maybe people don't appreciate with wealth. And the first one to kind of dive into is it possible to create meaningful wealth in a single generation, right? One person's lifetime. Can people actually do it, or is it just a myth?
yeah. So I would say definitely. I've seen a lot of examples of it. I think a lot of people probably feel discouraged. Maybe they look at their friends who they know they know that their parents helped them you know buy their house for cash in this crazy market,
Mhm.
and then they refinanced them at 2% or
Yeah.
or whatever it may be. There is I would say kind of the other side. As an estate attorney, I see that as well. I see a lot of people who just on paper, you're like, wow, they're really doing well for themselves. And then when you reel it back behind the scenes, you see that, family money was really big to help, get
Yeah.
them where they are, by,
Yeah.
maybe buying them a house, maybe paying for college, paying for grad school,
Yeah.
all those things, maybe some money to start a business, and then
Yeah.
then they're able to carry on.
Yeah, it's funny when
But
you think about wealth. I think there's a couple of things that were brought up there. First and foremost, I totally agree with you, and I'm living proof that wealth can be created from nothing to something in a single generation. With focus, discipline, execution, sure, a little bit of luck. You can make meaningful wealth in a decade, and certainly inside of 2 decades. But you're right. There's a lot of people that flex or look outwardly. And again, if you haven't read the book Millionaire Next Door, you need to. It's 20 or 30 years old, but there's a lot of people. There's a whole chapter dedicated to kids of wealthy who have just been kind of not, they've been carried their whole life, and that doesn't end well if you've ever read the book.
no, I'll have to check it out. I'll have to check out that book.
Oh my goodness, you haven't
So
read it, you will love it. You'll see your clients. It does a great job of talking about it. Yeah,
yeah, what was it called again?
the
Millionaire
millionaire
Next Door.
next door. Yeah, it's Tom Stanley, um, and William Danko. I actually got an autographed copy from Mr. Danko, who's still with us. That was a highlight of my year. Yeah, it's a very good book, Millionaire Next Door.
Yeah, so something I've seen working in the law firm. I mean, some of the wealthiest people, you would never know it. They come in a 20-year-old car, and they have literally I've seen this, a Walmart bag. This
Yes.
guy had his estate plan in a plastic Walmart bag, and it was like a $40 million estate.
Yes, you will love the Millionaire Next
So
Door. Exactly. I think like the second page, it talks about big hat, no cattle. Basically, there's a lot of people flexing, but there's also a lot of people with cattle pulling up in a Walmart bag. That's so funny.
yeah, so I've always really admired those people. Um, if you go to a party and you see someone like really underdressed, but you're like, man, how did that guy get in? But
Exactly.
meaning they have like, clout and other things.
Yeah.
So it's not about having the nicest suit or the nicest car. That doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Oh, amen to that. Well, hey, one of the things I wanted to flip over this is I fundamentally believe that if you stick to it, you can create meaningful wealth in a decade or two. But here's the deal: you can lose wealth in days. I mean, if you make a wrong trade, right? There was a multi-billionaire who lost things in that, being over leveraged on a couple of stocks here about a month ago. So you can lose money, you can lose wealth a lot quicker than you can make it, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So if we're talking about gambling, those
Yeah.
types of what they might call investing, but if it's
Yeah.
really,
It's just gambling.
gambling or margin accounts, just going
Yes.
on margin, whether it's
Exactly.
crypto or stock, but yeah, margin has killed a lot of people,
Yeah.
lost a lot of fortunes.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw this on the daily financial news. I think it was 2 weeks ago. There were 832,000 margin accounts crushed in crypto a couple weeks ago. The largest one, Rylas, $67 million. Talk about a bad day.
Wow.
A
Wow.
$67 million account one day brought to zero the next day because the idiot was on margin.
Wow. I heard there was that many. I didn't realize one of them was that big. So
$67 million. That's a bad day.
yeah, yeah. So just yeah, going on margin, you could lose years and wealth created in generations could be lost very quick.
Yeah.
Um, the other way that I see it lost too is just poor planning.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Where they get hit with taxes or they have things where they're unprotected, so they're subject to a lawsuit,
Mhm.
and um,
Yeah.
things unravel that way too.
Yeah, we'll get into planning here in another minute because that's a big part of the wealthy. Number three for me, I was curious as an estate planner, when you look at the history, and again, going back to what your father was doing, are most wealthy, did most wealthy people get there and stay there because they bought and hold, right? They held assets for decades. Or have you seen a lot of wealth kind of traders, right? They were in and out of stuff every year, every month. They were really investors versus kind of buy and hold. Have you seen a trend there at all, or don't know?
Yeah, I would my gut feeling, it seems like more of the holding,
Yeah,
more of the, holding on and, holding on through the hard years and the hard times and
yeah,
um
yeah.
and not
That's what I would have thought too, right? Because when you buy and hold, you have a lot less potential for mistakes because you're not swinging every month, every year, or so you don't miss that big blow up like 67 million going to zero. And I'm guessing, if people own, when you own stuff for decades, you just let inflation be your friend, right? Inflation, we're talking about inflation now being at 3.1 or whatever percent. But when you look at inflation over 30 years, you can't argue that it's, been significant. And that could really be your friend if you hold long enough.
yeah, definitely. So it seems like being dedicated to one strategy for a long time.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Here's the one that I think is important and why, estate planning is so vital is that planning aspect you brought up earlier. Because if you don't plan, as we said in our first video together, not planning is a plan, and it has horrible outcomes. But yeah, let's talk about the importance of planning and the fact that wealthy, i.e., a $40 million guy brings in a Walmart bag for this plan. He's planning, right? He's not just sitting home and seeing what's going on.
Yeah, yeah, still planning. And uh, what else is interesting too is I've I've never had a rich client either. People always think something's for the next level. A lot of times, like you recommend a strategy, they're like, oh, the 10 million guys going, oh, that seems like it's for the 20 or 30.
Uh,
And then the 20 or 30 is like, oh, that's more for like the 50 million. I'm not quite there yet.
right.
So sometimes there can be this like people are waiting until something else or another point until it affects them.
Interesting.
Um, I guess the first part of planning is just having a clear plan of what's going to happen. Just who's going to get what type of a thing.
Hmm.
So that can be pretty simple because you just don't want people to fight over it. You don't want your kids to have different ideas or
Hmm.
maybe you've told them different things and you know so just clarity is the first part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Totally agree.
the second part would be I think we're going to be seeing more of this. If the estate tax exemption goes down and capital gains goes up, it's going to be a more important, or it's going to affect more people.
For sure.
So there's going to be this opportunity that is, okay, do I want to pay a lot of money to attorneys and CPAs to help me, save and reduce taxes, or do I want to just, bury my head in the sand type of a thing and say, we're going to get another Republican president elected again, and everything's going to go back to normal or
it'll change.
normal.
Yeah. That's funny.
But that's some people, no matter what, they just want to ignore the present.
Yep.
And wait for the future, wait for something else in the future.
I agree with that. And then the last one for me, and again, I think this is important, especially with you in real estate, is a lot of people talk about legacy wealth. I'm curious, when you're meeting with clients in the whole profession of estate planning, I have to think a lot of that is about generations. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, it is. So it's, what do they want to leave behind? And, how do they want to do it for their kids? So what I think of in generational wealth is what we call a dynasty trust or generation skipping trust, where it is a trust design where it's not subject to the estate tax. So once the kids receive it, they can pass it to their grandkids without an estate tax. So it really is a tool to transfer wealth. And the people that understand those, it's pretty cool. I've helped people in the third and fourth generations with those, where set up by a grandparent or a great grandparent, and they've had the foresight. It's pretty cool to hear the stories, about, I remember one, like grandma was into real estate, was one of them, who she, created a big legacy that lasted. And we've had heirs of like Levi Strauss and things like that, and other, other large companies where, they've had their chunk, even, a few generations later, still preserved, still making a difference.
Yeah, that's amazing. So folks, if you are in Arizona or California, you need to be reaching out to Rylas Dana. He is, he gets it. He's part of the One Rental at a Time family. He is in the course. And again, with all the changes going on, you need to have that conversation. So Rylas, how do you want them to reach out to you, be a part of your world?
Yeah, best way is you can find my website is danalegalhelp.com. So you can reach out there. And yeah, Arizona, California, we can help you create your own estate plan, or we can help you with a probate or administer a trust. We have a lot of people right now that they're helping their parents. Their parents may have capacity, or they may be starting to kind of lose it. So they're contacting me, and they're some of them are probably watching this channel. They're worried about taxes going up.
Yeah.
So, what do we do right now? Mom and dad, they have these assets. They need some care.
Very cool. Folks, again, danalegalhelp.com. Rylas, thank you very much for being dedicated and showing up on Memorial Day. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.